Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Tap Into Your Creativity. I am so excited. We have Rachel Davis joining us today, all the way from Sausalito, California. Hi, Lisa. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I am so excited that you are here. And Rachel, if you see me, just request to go live with me, and we'll bring you right in. I see you, Rachel, so hopefully you can join me. There we go. Oh, and there she is. Oh, I'm so glad it worked. And like for a split second, it took me longer for you to come in, but I'm so excited that you're here today, Rachel. Thank you so much for being a part of my army of artists and joining me and tap into your creativity. It's been a long time coming, so welcome to the program.
It's my pleasure. And can you see all of me, or am I chopped off?
A little chopped off on the very top,
I
but
think I know what to do about that. Hold it.
okay.
Is that better or
Ah,
worse?
that's better. That's
Okay,
perfect. Yes,
cool,
yes, yes.
cool. Okay.
Oh, no, now
Worse.
you're like
It's
worse.
worse.
Yeah.
Exactly. I can make it better. Hold it just a second. It just means another
And
book.
I just saw my husband who's in Spain just joined, so
Cool.
hello. Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, that should be better.
Let's see.
Ta-da.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
there you are.
Okay.
I gather you're not in your studio, you're in your home studio today?
I'm in my home studio today because at the ICB building in Sausalito, I'm on the third floor, which is gorgeous and spacious, but there's no ceiling, basically, so everybody can hear everything. So my home studio is gorgeous. It's great. I'm very
Yeah.
grateful.
Yes. You're in for a treat, you guys, so don't go anywhere so we can see your whole studio. But for right now, Rachel, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and where you are, and all the good stuff.
Okay, I'm in very beautiful Marin County, California, which is a super special place to me. I'm in my home garden. I can talk more about that later. And I'm originally from New York. I was born in New York City and moved to California in 1987. So more than half my life I've been here at this point. And grateful to be here, not, fairly late to realizing I'm an artist. I think it's gone back further, but didn't identify as an artist until 2018. Had a completely other life, actually, and name, which is sort of weird, but it's a short story. I could tell you quickly if anybody was interested. And what else could I tell you?
Well, I think let's just start from the beginning when you were in New York. How was your childhood? Were you interested in the arts, or because you're a therapist as well? So tell us a little bit about your childhood and what
Sure.
that looked like.
Sure. I was, again, born in, back east in a religious family, an Orthodox family. And I actually realized belatedly they were all really creative too. My dad was a cantor at the synagogue we belonged to, and had a gorgeous voice, as did my mom and some of my I mean, I can carry a tune. My voice is fine, but I've got, one brother who's also a cantor, and my dad made up crazy stories, like really fun, creative, I mean, stuff I never recognized as incredibly creative, but they really were. That, like, all the neighborhood kids, everybody wanted to hear his stories because they were so nuts. But the thought of being an artist, and I had no artistic talent, I would say, and I'm not being modest. I would say that is true. I've developed it and I care passionately about it, but I didn't have natural talent as an artist. And it would never have occurred to me or anybody I knew to be an artist. You just didn't do that. It was just like, who's an artist? It doesn't make any sense. So um, that wasn't on my radar at all, at all. I'm the youngest of four, the only girl. And I was smart and did really well in school and was always very interested in people. So I became a psychologist. I'm a licensed psychologist and have been doing that since graduating, since graduate school, which I went into pretty closely after college, and didn't come to art. I mean, I realize now it's probably around 25 years ago I started doing Japanese flower arranging. Um, and I
Tell
was,
us a little bit about that. What does that mean?
it's called Ikebana, and it is, I was completely hooked from the first day. It was just a little local, you know how you have these local community education things, you get these little flyers, and
Yes.
got one that said Japanese flower arranging. I said, oh, that sounds interesting, and I signed up. But since I was a tiny little person, I had an aunt who traveled to Japan, and she brought back a beautiful, I was actually going to bring it, but I forgot. She brought a beautiful tea set. It was just gorgeous. And when I was like maybe 4 or 5, I said to my mom, can I have that? And she said, when you get married, I'll give it to you. And she did. That was, one of the things she gave me when I got married.
Yeah.
I just was always attracted to that aesthetic. Um, and it's very different than regular flower arranging. It's sort of off center and asymmetrical, and it's about the use of space, really. Um, I recognize now that probably 90% of what I know about composition, I learned from that because of,
Really?
yeah, oh, absolutely. It was like color, I still struggle with, but composition, I just always got. And that's why.
Is
It's
there like rules that you have to follow in order
initially,
to?
initially, yes. The first several years, I've been with the same teacher for 25 years. It's now just me and her. But everybody dropped off and I just kept following her. There are these rules of, like, say you have two main branches, and they have to be this proportion next to each other, and the flower is this proportion compared to it, and you don't have the flower in the center, it's off center, and there are these modules you go through. you
And
know
what is the meaning behind it?
it's not really meaning as much as, well, it is, that's not true, it is meaning. It's really about things being ephemeral and things passing, and um, like I was just talking to a fellow ICB artist about this the other day. In every arrangement, ideally, you would have all three tenses. You would have something about to bud, you would have something in full bloom but not center, and you would have something that's on its way out, that's falling, about to fall or starting to wrinkle. So it's really about history and appreciating things that aren't necessarily thought of as beautiful. And my teacher was very big on, like, she's Japanese, she's been doing it, she's in probably 80 something now, but she's been doing it since she's tiny. And she would say to me, too many stories, that I'm telling too many stories in one painting or arrangement. Um,
Wow. It
yeah,
sounds to me like the cycle of life
exactly. It's the cycle, and also paying attention. It's about paying attention, and about, she would teach you how to move
and
through,
having intention.
and you move through an arrangement, and you can play later. Initially you couldn't play, but I just found it interesting. And then you don't just throw things together. And if you do throw things together, now I can throw things together and they'll be beautiful, but you couldn't initially. So you're thinking about where you're mindful, basically. You're really, really.
Wow, I love this. I've never really heard about this. So I'm so happy that you're telling me this. And are you doing this professionally or just because you love it and you do it on the side?
I've been asked to do it professionally. To me, it's a complete labor of love, but I do it before every single open studio. It's like, it grounds me. I get there way early before anybody's there, and I set things out, and it's just like, it's become a ritual, and it just calms me. And I've been known, like if I'm at a hotel or something where there's an arrangement and it's not right, in my opinion, my husband will stand sentry, and I'll be.
So let me ask you this, coming from an Orthodox family, were you like, was it expected from you to stay um, in that path
And was it okay for you to go to school and get your degree and, all this complicated?
It's
Yeah.
complicated. It was definitely expected for me to stay. The phrase would be in the fold. That would be the phrase. But I was by far the best student among my brothers were sort of more boys and more traditionally, sort of a little bit more challenged academically. They're all really smart. But I was like, school was my ticket as far as I was concerned. I had a happy childhood. It was a happy family, but I always was interested in the world beyond. Always, always. It always seemed just narrow to me. I liked it, but I was interested in everything else. So my parents expected me or wanted me to go to a college that was an Orthodox college where people used to like joke that you graduate with an MRS instead of a BA, Mrs. That was
Mrs.
the goal. That was the goal. And I don't know how I pulled this off, but I told them. I basically told my parents, no, I'm going to Barnard. I was in New York. I couldn't imagine leaving New York. Barnard was the sister school to Columbia. You couldn't go to Columbia then if you were a woman. And I said, well, no, that's where I'm going. And they said, okay. And all their nightmares came true. I sort of left the fold and then moved to California. So everything they were afraid of happened. They were very upset and loving. They came to visit. I visited them. It wasn't like that kind of disruption, but they definitely they would have preferred, because they really believed in it and it was such a meaningful life to them, they would have preferred that I stay in the fold for sure.
Yeah, I can't imagine you being the only girl. And, anyways, like you said, complicated, lots of layers to this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So now you move in 87 to California, and now you
Oh,
are
let
a
me just shut my phone
therapist.
off. Sorry. I'm just going to shut my phone off so it doesn't make any noise. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Sorry, do not disturb. Okay, done. Okay.
So you're in California. Why California?
Well, my cousin, who's kind of like a sister to me, moved out here in 80. We moved in 87. She and her husband moved in 82, and we started to visit. And on our first trip, we fell madly in love. We flew to LA. We drove up the coast. We got to Big Sur, and we called up the California Licensing Board. My husband's also a psychologist. We called up the licensing board from the road and said, what do we need to do to be licensed here? And
Wow.
took us I have no idea why it's still making noise. It took us 5 years to make the transition. And we would plan every Thursday morning. We'd go for breakfast and plan and dream. And we did it. We got jobs and came. And
Wow.
yeah.
So when does art start to appear in your life?
Again, in retrospect, I see it was the Ikebana, but I didn't call it that until later. So I would say around 2015 or so, I just started, like, when I was daydreaming, that's what I was daydreaming about. I found myself searching YouTube and like, how you do, but before you get a focus, you're like, just sort of, how do you make art? I would like Google stuff and look for it all over the place, and take a random class here and there. And the first like really great focus teacher that wasn't just a one-off was Jane Davies. I don't know if you know her. Have you heard of her?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've taken
I
her
think she's
workshop.
I think she's a
Yep.
fabulous teacher.
Yeah,
Really
she's
good.
fabulous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good. And
And
that was,
very giving, and she's a very giving artist on
yes,
YouTube, and so
yes,
yes.
yes. So I devoured all her free stuff, and then I started taking her paid classes. And she's a tough teacher in a good way. She really like there are assignments and she gives you feedback, and it's not all, oh, you're great. It's like, she's not mean, but she's super helpful. So she was awesome. And then in 2018, I took Nicholas Wilton's CVP program. And it was during that I started calling myself an artist and started submitting things to jury shows. And, that was, so it's 2017-18 was a real turning point for me.
Which, if you think about it, it's like 4 or 5 years ago. That's
I know.
nothing.
I know.
You know, like,
I know.
and that's why I love doing this interviews, because you all come from all different kinds of walks of life. And, you know, art doesn't have an age. Art doesn't
No.
tell you you can start, you know, at your 20s or at your 60s or at your 80s. You know, it's something that you can carry and start at whatever age you are. And that's
So
the beauty of art.
so true. And I feel so, I think starting it late, you know, some people like regret. I mean, I know I'd be much better if I had started dedicated earlier, but more than regret, it feels to me very freeing. It feels like nobody gets to tell me what to do. I'm going to make the most of the time I have left. It keeps me young because my brain, I feel like my brain is busy learning in a good way. So I'm grateful, you know, to have come at it later in life, even though there would have been upsides to coming at it earlier, for sure.
Have you been to Japan?
I haven't yet, but I will be. I
Okay.
definitely will be. And there's
I'm wondering if there's a cross connection between your painting and how you arrange your flowers, and if there's that communication happening.
definitely, definitely for sure. I have a lot of things that I do artistically, but the I have a whole, and I didn't start doing this till last year. The piece I'm donating today is from that series. But last year I got this bug to finally start doing, basically to do ikebana on Japanese flower arranging on to in a 2D way. I started doing it with, if we have time, I can take you into the garden where I'm
Oh
literally,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure. We have
yeah.
time. Yes. Yes.
I'm using materials from the garden. Like I forage my garden for, you know how people always talk about you need differences in your work to make it exciting. So I'm looking for differences in the garden. I'm looking for long, skinny things. I'm looking for flowy things. I'm looking for straight things, big things, little things. Things in different, again, in different states of um, shape, aliveness. And I'm using those both in monotype. I'm also painting what I pick from the garden and using that. Like I'm embedding that in the paintings. So that's been super joyful. That started last May
Hmm.
and it has continued. I'm doing that, and then I'll flip around, but a lot of my abstract art is very much informed by sort of an Asian sensibility. You'll see it when you look at it. It has that feel to it in the way I use space and the way I think about using space. So that's very much a part of all the abstract work I do, is very, very much informed by this Japanese influence. And where I come to that, I have no idea. Where this Orthodox Jewish girl came to that, I have no idea. I have no
Well,
idea.
I think that, you know, having some sort of like order, and like I said, I think that the way that you're describing everything, it feels like the cycle of life. So something that is young and fragile, something that is blooming, something
Oh, I
that
love.
is old. And so I feel like it's like you're in your womb, and then you give birth, and then it's the cycle of life, and then they die. And it's like I
I
feel
love.
like the way that you're saying it, this is how it's resounding to me. This is how I relate to what you're telling me.
Oh, I love that. I think I really like thinking about it that way.
Yeah, and I think, you know, part of a painting also has to have, you know, all those contrasts to make it interesting, to have a story behind it.
Right.
And so I feel like you found your own language within your own story, which is beautiful.
And I love stories. Stories super important to me, just in life and in general, and in art. I'm always really interested in the story of the art, whether or not it's explicit or, you know, but I that pulls me in to
Hmm.
art. It's the image first, but then to me it's always enriched by the story. So
Right.
I'm very.
So if we go back to like 2019, right, when you're already, you
Okay.
know, have taken the CVP, and how do you then decide, okay, this is what I want to do now, and now I want to sell my paintings, and now I want to, you know, be out there, and now I want to be a part of this incredible community of artists, and rent a space in the most prestigious place in
Hmm.
Sausalito in
Hmm.
California? Like, how take us back and tell us like what happened and how you did that.
That was really a friendship story, though we weren't friends yet. I knew Bibi Janalot, who I know you've interviewed, is now a good friend at the ICB, but I knew her. I forget how I knew her, but I did. And she said, Rachel, you need to get a studio at the ICB. And I said, well, why? I just built the studio in my backyard. It cost a fortune. Why would I do that? She said, you just do. It's a community. It's an amazing community. And so I did. I went to an event there, and somebody had a sublet, which is kind of how it works. And now I've got my own wonderful space. But I'm such a community kind of person. I mean, I love my backyard studio and the 10-second commute in the bathrobe. That's like can't beat that. But having it's yes, it's a really prestigious place, but mostly for me, it's the community. It's an amazing community to be a part of, and we really sort of galvanize each other and push each other in a good way. Like you're around such talent that you want to sort of meet it, but we also really help each other. Like if you're miserable and you got rejected from something, you can commiserate and you can cheer each other on, and you can help each other get set up for Open Studio, and you can borrow something if you're missing it. It's you can laugh. It's so special.
So you think that being a part of a community obviously helped you, but professionally speaking, how did that look like at that time?
Trying to think. My first Open Studio was in May 19. That's exactly when I started in January 19. And I'm how to describe this. I have always been, again, I'm interested in story, and I just think it's fun to sell. I feel like I'm lucky that way. I enjoy it. I get a kick out of it. So I love sharing my art with people. I'm genuinely excited about it, and I think that combination has helped. I mean, I've been on Instagram. I'm not like you. I'm fine. I'm not complaining, but I'm not like, I don't have like one of these huge followings on Instagram. But I tell stories on Instagram. I mean, even in my posts. For some people, it's too much talk, but they just look at the pictures. But a lot of people engage with it because I'm really interested in my own story and other people's stories and other people's responses to the stories. So I'll talk a lot on Instagram about my process and my struggles and what works and what doesn't. At ICB, we do a lot of promotion for our events, and we have a fair number of them. So that's mostly how I sell, is that way, is
Mm-hmm.
through Open Studios or people I met at Open Studios who come back. I also teach. I'm trying to remember when I started teaching. It was before the pandemic, because I remember I stopped teaching. I teach classes. My studio looks so clean because I'm teaching tomorrow. So I teach here, and those people, when people know you, they're more interested in your art.
How did you get into teaching, and what made you decide, like, yeah, I got the goods?
Well, I've always taught. I mean, I've been a professor at university. I mean, I just like teaching, and I have. So teaching comes naturally to me. And how did I know I had the goods? It's a good question. I just did. It doesn't seem like an answer. I know.
No, you just went for it and
yeah.
thought, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Well, and you learn. I mean, I'm much better.
100%.
My classes are way better now than they were. The first one was. I took notes. I have had people. Again, I've had people in. I'll give Bibi a shout out too. She took my class. I forget when it was, but she said, "Rich, you've got to straighten this place up more. We can't see your stuff enough." And she was right, and I did. And so I've got a great setup now that's really super organized, and I can walk you through later how I do the class.
What do you teach now? Or what did you start teaching, and what do you teach now? Is it the same?
I'm trying to remember if I started this way. I think I started with the bones of this idea, but now it's really developed. It's called Mixed Media Design and Play. And what it is, it's because it's right here, because class is tomorrow. We work on Arches oil paper, which is my favorite paper, these big pieces. And they're called, everybody gets a 22 by 30 piece, and they're called playscapes. So the only rule in the morning is nobody's allowed to make a painting. And I set people free. I've got an incredible stash of materials. I have a pet peeve when I go to workshops. I kind of hate when I have to bring my own materials. It just makes me, it's just, I find it a pain in the butt. So nobody has to bring anything, just their desire to play and learn. And I do a bunch of demos, and I set people free with all my materials to sort of see what speaks to them, you know, to basically, just like what's calling me, what paper, paint, color, anything is calling me. And in the morning, people are just laying things down. They're just playing. And if they're stuck, I can help them with if they hate what they're doing, I say, like, what's the opposite of what you're doing? Well, why don't you try that? And I'm working alongside them, and I'm thinking out loud when I'm stuff. And then we eat lunch in the garden. And then in the afternoon, we put the work up on the wall. I have a really cool wall to share with you that's changed my life, how I work. And we take out these mats, like a 4-inch mat, a 10-inch mat, and a 5x7. And we find compositions in everybody's work. So even I have people I have a lot of returning students. I have very experienced. I also have people who've never, ever, they just love art, but they've never done anything. And we find the compositions in everybody, and then we apply them to boards or put them in mats. And everybody leaves with 3 finished pieces they love that they've made out of whatever mess they were playing with in the morning. So it's a really fun day. 6 hours. It's we have a little show on the back fence. It's great.
So it's a 1-day workshop, pretty much.
1-day workshop, 10 to 4.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Only 4 people. It's a good size. It's 14 by 20, the studio.
Yeah.
But it's, that's enough room. And I have this jelly plate that I work on that, you know, and that's over here. I'll show you later, but I'll put that outside in the garden, and I'll demo how I do the
So I think it's actually time. First, if you want to show us the piece that you're donating for Feeding America.
Sure. This is,
and yes.
Well, how lighting? Can you see it okay?
Yeah. We can see it okay. You can actually bring it closer in so we can see the detail. And if you want to just explain to us a little bit about this piece, that'd be amazing.
Sure. And this was done on a play panel, so it's got all sorts of layers underneath it, which I'm always doing. Again, that's the history part of things. And what I did was I went in my garden yesterday because I had another piece I was going to donate, and I liked it, but I didn't love it enough. So I wanted to donate something that I loved. And I always love working at this time of year in the garden. So I went through the garden, and I just started clipping different things. And I arranged them on I put paint down on my jelly plate. And I do like a flower arrangement on the jelly plate. And I do many iterations until I find ones that are working for me. I have some leftovers, and I'm doing them
What paper do you use?
Different ones, but what I used for this is my most delicate and kind of fussy paper, but I love it. This is, if people want it, I'm happy to share it with you. It's it's calligraphy practice paper, and it's super thin.
Oh, wow, it's yummy.
Delicate. It's yummy and beautiful. And I never know how it's going to behave. You know, it sort of depends on the
So it's a surprise every time.
And sometimes it sticks to the plate and I can't pull it off, you know, but to me that adds to some of the excitement of making it.
Yeah.
And
so then do you apply that paper then into the wood board?
I apply the paper onto the gelatin plate that has the paint on it.
Right, but then after when you pull it,
Then I pull it and I apply it, and then I'm doing paint over the board, and then
I'm assuming you use some sort of a gel medium to
correct.
Yes.
I do gel medium, and sometimes with this paper I use something called nori paste. Is a starch based. It's good for very delicate things, but since I was doing this over a play panel that had some color underneath it, because this is so whisper thin, this all disappears.
Right, exactly.
So whatever is underneath that is going to come through. So it's really magical and a little scary. Not like that kind of scary, but you know,
mystery.
There we go, mystery.
Yeah.
And then again, I'll go back in with the edges of things. You know, I'll sort of then I'm working on composition, and I've
So
got
just show us again the painting so we can appreciate now even more. So we're asking $325. 100% of the proceeds go to Feeding America. So I can't stress enough. I do it every week, and it's been one painting at a time, and we've been able to collect more than 340,000 meals for people in need. So if you feel an incline of keep helping people, please consider buying this painting for Feeding America. And thank you, Rachel, for donating this piece. I'm very excited, and hopefully we'll sell.
completely my pleasure. And is this the time where I'm supposed to flip it around? I do see a
Yes,
flip around thing. That's what I should have.
correct. Yes. And if you're interested in the painting, just DM me or Rachel, and we'll tell you what to do and how to get it done. And Rachel will get it to you. So
there we go.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay. So first, I want to show off this amazing piece of furniture I had made. And for anybody who's a collage artist, you know that the sort of the line between hoarding and collaging is very thin. So what I've done is these are all baskets from Container Store, and they're pretty long. See, can you see them? There we go.
Yeah.
So I have them divvied up by color. Okay, so this is mostly black and white, mostly green and blue, mostly orange, and then multicolored. And these are all handmade papers. So I'm always, and I have some friends who are horrified because it's too organized, but for me, I was getting so buried, I couldn't find anything, and then I felt bad, and that got in the way of me working. So this has really worked great for me. And
when you say handmade paper, do you make the paper or you buy it?
No, handmade. This is stuff that is sort of, as I do a lot of printmaking. I forgot about that. I had a printmaking background as well. I started doing that around 11, 12 years ago. And I'm always using paper, lifting it off and on things, and even the paper that's on my table, if it looks cool, I'll take that. So I just get these masses of paper, and if it looks remotely pretty or interesting to me, I keep it. And now I can find it. And then I also have, this is non-handmade paper. I have the same system of color coding. Oops,
on the bottom?
lower down. On the bottom,
Okay.
those boxes.
Okay. Yep.
And those I have other papers that are, again, color coded by, and are separated out. So my students can look at any of that stuff. And I've got various, paints.
And they can use it, or that's for you?
No, what I want, I take away. This is all free. This is all for them to use. What I want.
That's amazing.
If I don't want them to use it, I go through stuff, and if I really want that, I'm not going to be heartbroken if they take it. That doesn't happen. I have a system.
Okay.
And then I've got like plastic, all sorts of things that can embed, on the bottom. You can see I've got this is fun. These are, can you see this? Yeah. This is a Chill Witch placemat. Yes. So that's a great place to go for materials. I also have, I've got, this is all fun stuff, corrugated cardboard, great for mark making. Here I have an old IKEA cabinet that's sort of divvied up with my paint tubes and textured paper. I mean, super organized, which I wasn't always transparent.
I love that, actually.
Yeah.
That's great.
Really, it's been helpful.
Because it's organized chaos, but it's really organized.
Totally. And believe me, it wasn't always like this. Okay, what's here? Oh, I have a couple of these carts I'll show you more later from the Container Store, also on wheels. Okay. And one of them has a really great tip that I'll show you. Just paints. I've got paints everywhere, sort of roughly by color. Those are going to be, some of those will be used tomorrow in class. Okay. And I'll also have people be foraging outside. This is a fabulous system. Do you see this?
Oh, wow. They're hangers.
They're hangers.
You're hanging
paper.
Yeah,
again, by color and roughly. And that's from another artist named Louise Forbush, who I forced into teaching the class a while ago. She's also an Ikebana teacher. And this is just to see we haven't talked about the figurative stuff, but I do a lot of figurative work. And these were Post-its initially, see, on charcoal.
Oh, wow. That is so cool.
Yeah, it's a whole nother story. Here's Lizzo.
Oh my gosh.
Rita Moreno, that's the exuberant, but this is the system I want to show you. Can you see? Let me see. Can you see that there's a metal strip? I'll show you. Can you see that?
Yes.
That's a metal strip. And
Yes.
these are rare earth magnets. And it's across my entire painting wall. So sorry, a long wall of a strip. And that big piece over here, which is Arches oil paper, a roll, like I can work on something that's, you know, it's the Arches paper roll, the big one is 54 inches by 10 yards. And I can work really huge and then maybe cut the pieces later and mount them to panel. Like Lizzo started that way and then was mounted to a panel. It's changed my life because I can work really big.
So the magnets really hold the...
Look, yeah, they're really strong.
They're very strong. So you can actually paint?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have been. I've painted many large paintings this way. I'm going to move back and show you the sort of, like, that's a big piece that's kind of a mess right now. Yeah. But it could be bigger. And
it holds in place.
Totally holds in place. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's completely turned my
especially life. For people that work on paper. Like that's a perfect solution, right?
Even people who don't work on paper and are sick of working on big panels because they're too heavy, you can work on paper and then transfer it to a panel later. Or you could
what do you use to transfer to a panel, and what do you use to not have bubbles and all that good stuff?
Well, I use somebody else. because
got it.
I would not be able to.
That's the tricky part of it.
For
artists that don't have the one person that does that for them, that is where it gets tricky, especially on bigger.
Exactly. Small ones I do. Small ones I do myself. Jane Davies actually has some videos where she describes how to do it on somewhat bigger pieces. But I think for much bigger, like I've done 36 by 36 and bigger. Okay. For that, I wouldn't try it alone personally.
Do you do it only on panel, or have you done it on canvas?
I haven't done it on canvas yet, but my guy says he can do it on canvas. And I've also started working on canvas.
Because of the weight, you know?
Correct. So it's changed things.
Yeah.
The other thing is these are these little works, little botanicals. I don't know if you know about magnetacks. Do you know of those?
I think I do, actually.
Here we go.
They're like the little ones, and then they have another one. They have two, right?
Exactly. Here it is, and it's over here, and it's just very elegant. I think it's a very elegant little solution.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, I think it just looks really good.
Yes.
And this is, again, I was cleaning up for Open Studio, and this was on my table. This was just on my table.
I love that.
Exactly.
Wow.
So this is going to be integrated some way, somehow. I think that's, this is a sense of some of the Asian inspired work.
Is that like 9 panels altogether?
That is 9 panels altogether. And that is from a class I did with Gordon Studer, who you interviewed.
Oh, yes. Well, that's his whole thing, the 9 panel thing. I love it. I love it. And I love Gordon. So
me too. And I just decided to, I'm going to flip that around. I'm so proud of myself that I figured out how to do it. Let me shut that light off so we're not so bright in here. Hold it. Or is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's okay. If we move into your garden, are we going to lose you, or is the internet pretty good?
No, it'll be fine.
Okay, let's do it now, and then we'll come back and we'll open it for questions, and and you can give us more details of your teachings. And
I'm pretty positive it will be fine. Let me flip you around. Okay. Ta-da. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's, I've got all different shapes. A lot of Japanese maple. And you let me know if you can hear me still.
Yes.
I love the grasses. The grasses are my friends. The spiky grasses are gorgeous in prints, really beautiful in prints. Ferns. This is a spectacular plant for print. It's called a Zara.
I love that.
Yeah, and then this is this variegated, it's called Eskimo Sunset Maple. So it's just, I come out and forage, it's
So you planted, you did this garden with intention,
I
correct?
did. Oh my God, yes, with very much with Ikebana intention, with an eye
Mm.
towards, I'm going to flip it back around, with an eye towards, I'm going to be either using it for flower arranging, or I'm going to be, I didn't know yet that I was going to be using it for painting. And yeah, so that's.
So what do you see now, looking back, being a therapist? Are you still practicing?
I'm a psychologist. Yes, I
You're a
am.
psychologist?
Yeah, just
Um,
2 days a week at this point.
okay.
Yeah.
Are you a family psychologist? Are you?
I do a lot of work with couples. I have done a lot of family training. I haven't done family work for a while. Every so often I'll get like a multi-family group will come in, like multi-generations will come in for
Mhm.
like short term something or other. I do a lot of couples work. I've done a lot of work with artists, coaching art. I've been interested in artists and creativity way before, again, I knew I was on that path myself.
And how do you see the connection between the world that we're living in, the anxiety, the depression, just a crazy,
Mhm.
everywhere. It's, the noise is so loud,
Yeah.
that coming into your studio, are you able to connect them both with your students or not really?
Trying to think. I mean, I feel like the art is both a respite from that and a way to express it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Sometimes I feel like art is even more important in this world. And also sometimes when I'm really upset, I mean, I've done art where I'm like really upset about something and it's coming out in the art. It's sort of like that's where I'm putting it.
Hmm.
Um, so, and I'm not sure if I'm understanding the question in terms of my students.
Well, I think I'm just asking if it feels like art therapy, I guess. If it feels like you're coming into the safe place. I mean, I'm assuming you are.
Yeah.
But are you using your psychologist brain at the same time that you're teaching? Or are
Mhm.
you just,
Yes.
teaching and putting art out there and it's just separated one from the other?
It's a really good question. I have also done a lot of coaching. I did an online coaching program for artists back in the fall, and that was all about addressing ways that people are in their own way, not necessarily about ways. Sometimes things in the world that make it difficult for you to focus, but also internal blocks.
Yeah.
Ways that you get in your own way. So when I'm doing my regular mixed media class, I feel like the psychology skills help just because people get stuck, and I'm not
Hmm.
analyzing them, but I have, 30 plus years of experience helping people get out of their own way. So, in the workshop, people, sometimes get stuck, so I can pretty efficiently help them get unstuck because we want to have fun and it's only a day. So we have to zero. I definitely feel like it can't help but inform everything. It's so
Exactly,
much about
exactly. So I'm going to open the panel to questions. So if you guys have any questions, this will be the perfect time to ask Rachel anything. But Rachel, what do you think has been your biggest take since you um, been now a professional artist? What would you say that has given you as a person?
Oh, wow. I just feel like incredible riches. I feel like I pinch myself with gratitude pretty much every day that I have gotten to do two things in my life that are this deeply meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
I really can't believe it. It's
Mm-hmm.
because the work I do is touches people and it touches their souls and it makes a difference for them and their families and generations, because I'm making that kind of difference and, connecting so closely with people. And the art feels like another way to do that.
Who are you influenced by?
Wow. That's a good question. A lot of people. Um, As an artist right now, there's my big hero right now is Alice Neal artistically. She's, I mean, if her show hadn't come, she has a big show now. Are you familiar with her?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I'd love when people aren't familiar because then I get to introduce them. She died, I think, in 1980 something, but she was an incredible figurative artist in New York during the time of the abstract expressionists, you know, the very bro-y, you know, non-representational period. So I lived in Spanish Harlem. She was a communist. She was she didn't give a shit, you know, like
what's her last name? Alice
Neal, Neel.
Okay.
Alice Neal. She really did what she wanted. She didn't care, you know, like no, everybody said that this representational painting is passé, doesn't matter. You're a woman, you know, how many ways can we discount you? Let's stack them up. And she just kept painting people, you know, and they called people pictures. She was completely unpretentious. And she's amazing. And there was a huge retrospective at the Met in New York, and it's now at the De Young. So I've seen it only once so far, but I'll be back multiple times. And they're remarkable. She's such a humanist. You know, she really captures.
No, I can't wait
really,
to go look her up.
Amazing, Sandra. I mean, you're really in for a treat. She was a very interesting person. There's a documentary by her grandson called Alice Neal that's very worth watching. You know, she lost a kid. She lost a kid to, I forget what, diphtheria, something like that, typhus, something like that. And she lost another child to a marriage, a lot of tragedy, and she was quite unconventional, raised two very conventional sons, and just really interesting, really, really interesting. So she's a big hero to me.
So Julie wants to know if you can explain again the metal bars and the type and names of the metals of the magnets that you're using.
I'm happy to. Would it be helpful for me to send them to you, Sandra?
Yeah, send it to me, and
I can do that.
Just explain how
I'm happy. They're like they're 72-inch long. And if you go to my feed, I did a reel about this within the last week, and I have all the information under that because I had so many questions about it at Open Studio. So they're 72-inch by 1 inch.
Do you get them like at Home Depot or something like that? Okay.
Exactly. At Home Depot. And there's a name for them that's evading me now, but I have it there. Super easy, very inexpensive. I think they're $12 for each 6 feet run. And you can look up rare earth magnets, but the ones I put in my feed, I think they're called neodyne. They're even stronger. And these are 1 1/4 inch diameter.
Okay.
And
send me that information, please, so I can put it down on our feed. Totally. And also the paper that you I think you mentioned that you like the Archers.
Archers,
I don't know.
Paper, and also maybe the this.
Correct.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Then we have it, right?
Got it.
Allison is asking, how are you using the nori paste in the jelly prints?
Okay, I'm not using them on the jelly press itself. What I'm sometimes using, when I'm using very delicate papers, I will use the nori paste to affix that to the panel. Because first of all, it's very forgiving in terms of time. It's repositionable, but mostly it just, when you're using the delicate paper, I'm sure you've had this experience where it kind of disintegrates on you, and it's so delicate that it doesn't. I mean, and not delicate. The paste is just gentle. It's just a very gentle glue.
And where do you find the nori paste?
I think I got it on Amazon. I forget where I heard about it initially, but I just Googled it at Nori. And it was not hard to find.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now Bonnie is asking, is Magnetax something separate?
Yes. Magnetax, let me see if I have I don't have a thing, but it's MAGNA, and then I think it's TAK -TAK. And they come in, and they're the little tiny ones that if you're putting up a show and you've got a lot of works on paper and you don't want to frame them, you can just have them on a run. I did this at Open Studio. They look beautiful. I just had them on a run.
So the one that goes on the wall, it has a tag that goes into the wall?
For the Magnetax, that I can show you. Get it.
So, and then you put the paper and then you put the
Yeah.
other tag and then it's just a sandwich kind of thing.
It's like a tack like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And then you put that on the wall, and then you put the paper on, and then they're so strong I can't release them. Like
there you go.
papers.
Yep. So then you sandwich it and then you don't damage your
Yeah,
paper, which is awesome.
exactly.
So we have
Like this.
a student of yours that loves you, and her name is
Oh,
Pat Johnson.
I
And
love
she said,
Pat.
if you have the opportunity to take a class with Rachel or
Yes.
experience her coaching, do it. Her warmth, generosity, spirit, and skills. You know, she just absolutely loves you. She loves your environment, and
I love Pat
you're
too.
just, yeah. So, where do you find those
Magna tags
magna
again.
tags?
Easy. Just
Amazon?
Google them. Just Google them. They were really easy to find. They're not.
Okay.
This is not. It's not hard to find this stuff. The other, the neodyne and that sort of this gossamer thin paper. That's a little. You wouldn't know what to search for, so that I'll send to Sandra. The other stuff you don't need me for. It's just
exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, it's the little tips like this
Totally.
that really help get you to to a whole different level, because it doesn't matter where you are. If you have a small studio, if you have a big studio, all the little tips help each other and help make your life a little easier. So I love sharing like little things like that, because I use for my big canvases, which are really big and very heavy, I use the big tags, like the bigger push pins, and you buy them on Amazon, and they're called giant push pins, and literally it's like, instead of using just the nail, this is like literally a push pin, but it's big, and it just holds it up in place.
Oh, that's
and
great.
It's amazing. You can use them to put your big plastic sheet and use that, because that's really heavy.
Right.
And so even like little things like that can also help.
Totally. Yeah, no, I heard about this through my friend Karen Meadows, another ICB artist, and she heard it through Lisa Nunes, who I don't know, but who's a wonderful artist on Instagram. I think it's Noonis. So I love how we sort of pass it along, or your tips.
Exactly. Good luck on your show, Julie, and I'm so happy that now you know how to hang your paper.
Awesome.
It's awesome. That's exactly what we want. So Rachel, let's show again the painting that you are donating today. Again, we're asking $325.
And it will be, I'm not going to try to put it now, but it will be in the frame, this frame.
Yes. Where do you get your frames, by the way?
I think this was Canvas Place. I'm pretty sure. The Canvas Place, and that's just the canvasplace.com. I think a lot of people I've heard. Different places, but I'm pretty sure that's where this one was from.
So anyways, we're asking $325 for this beautiful painting that goes 100% to Feeding America. So please consider buying this amazing, beautiful painting and helping so many people in need. And that's why we do this. We share this. We love our community, our community of artists, that we're helping our community at large. And I just love this. So thank you, Rachel, for giving us the time. Please tell us where we can find you, Rachel.
Sure, I will. And Sandra, thank you. This is such an incredible thing that you've unleashed in the world. I just love it. I love everything about it. And I always learn a ton, because you ask different questions, and I feel like we connect as artists, but we connect around the art, so we feel like we know each other. But then I learn all these other things about people when you talk to them. So thank you for that. I'm at racheldavisstudio.com, and Rachel is Rachel, not Rachael, which is the common misspelling. And Instagram, it's racheldavisart.Bay Area.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, Bonnie, I guess she's also been your student. She loves you as well. And
thanks. Nice to see you.
It's so nice to see our community supporting us and being here for us. So Rachel, thank you again for being a part of the Army of Artists and part of a Tap into Your Creativity. And we will continue this work together. As I always say, it's a we, not an I. And so let's just keep helping. And please, please, please consider buying Rachel's painting today. And again, Rachel, thank you so much. It's been
You're
a pleasure.
very, very welcome. And it's been my pleasure as well. Take care.
Take care.
And I'll
Bye,
get
everyone.
I'll get it to
All
you.
right.
Bye.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.